Okay, now that we're done with testing, I'm just going to walk you through the results we found. This is an audiogram, and it's a way that we can plot your hearing loss on paper. This axis right here is the loudness or the intensity of sounds. So you have very soft sounds ranging from very loud sounds. And on this axis we have frequency. You can think of that similar to a piano. It's similar to pitch, very low sounds ranging from those higher treble sounds. The O's are your right ear, while the X's are your left ear. And this line right here, 20 and above, is what we constitute normal hearing. So you can see you do have a hearing loss in both of your ears. We consider it to be a mild sloping to about a moderate hearing loss. The type of hearing loss is called sensorineural. It means it's a permanent hearing loss in your hearing organ, and it can't be cured medically via surgery. The last test we did, when we made those sounds and words loud enough for you at a comfortable level, you were able to repeat them and you scored fairly well, which kind of gives us an indication that you benefit from amplification. Now, before we continue, I just want to tell you that hearing aids are great, but they're not a way to get back to your normal hearing. They're not perfect. There are still going to be some times that in adverse listening situations you might struggle a little. For example, distance. If someone's talking to you from a couple of rooms away, you might hear it, but you might not understand it. And also, background noise can also still be difficult. So if you're out with a group of people, you might just need a little more features of the hearing aid to kind of focus in and bring out the speech and ignore that noise. Talking to someone in a quiet environment like we are now, facing one-on-one, so you're able to see their face and use those visual cues to kind of clue into what they're saying, is going to be really helpful to you. And also with your hearing loss, your ears are hearing both the same thing with not one better than the other, so I would recommend 2 hearing aids. A couple benefits of that are going to be distance. With one hearing aid, the sensitivity of the hearing aid might only reach about 6 feet in front of you, while with 2, it'll be about 10 feet. And also, you're just going to feel a little bit more balance between the ears. And you mentioned you're a teacher. Hearing where a student calls out in the classroom and localizing that sound is going to be much better with the 2 hearing aids versus the 1. Alright, and I'd also like to point out that the hearing you get back from the hearing aids is not the only benefit you'd be getting. Research and studies have showed us that along with that hearing, you're also getting increase in memory, and your brain is able to process information coming faster when you get those hearing aids and sending those auditory signals to the brain that it's not used to hearing. So it's just kind of something to think about with the bigger picture of the benefits you can get from the hearing aids. Now I'd just like to take a couple minutes and go over some of the environments that you're finding yourself struggling in. I know you're a teacher and you've told me that it's sometimes difficult to hear the softer or female voices of the students. So I have that down as one of the environments. Is there anything else that you're finding yourself struggling in?
Yes, when I go out to dinner with my husband, or if we're with another couple and the restaurant's noisy, I have a very difficult time following the table conversation. Church gives me a little trouble, especially afterwards in the narthex when everybody is visiting and they're all talking at the same time. And I also play softball, and I have a hard time sometimes hearing the coach from the sideline and sometimes some of the players if they're calling out to me.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is because all the styles of hearing aids, they come in different levels of technology. And with these varying levels of technology, you can get less or more features, more automatic adaptability, and just the more advanced levels have better ways of dealing with things such as background noise or wind from the outside. So I just like to gauge how active your lifestyle is and kind of find the best fit for you. So for example, if you tell me that after your softball game, you're going out to with a couple or the team and you try the basic hearing aid, you might just find that it's not really serving all of those needs for the active lifestyle that you're describing for me. However, with the increase in technology, there is an increase in cost, so that's a factor for you to consider. Do you have any idea right now?
Well, I guess I'm in crowds most of the time. I have, or I spend a lot of time in crowds. I have a family, and my classroom gets noisy, the hall gets noisy, the cafeteria gets noisy. We do a little traveling, we go out to dinner at least once a week. We do a lot of things outdoors. I attend meetings. I watch a little TV, so I probably am in all of these environments. So probably this premium is going to match my lifestyle the best.
Okay, and what you're telling me right now, you seem properly motivated. You know what activities you're in, what lifestyle you're in. So I would agree that would probably fit your needs the best. Now I'd like to just kind of give you an overview of each style of the hearing aids. I'm just going to kind of tell you some of the pros, some of the cons of a bunch of them, and then feel free to ask me questions at any time, and just so we can find what really works for you. The first ones I'm going to show you are these in-the-ear hearing aids. You can get a range of smaller to a little larger, and how we do that is we take a custom mold of your ear so it fits nice and comfortably in your ear. A couple cons would be, since they're small, since this one would be smaller, you're not going to get as much battery life out of it, so you're going to change that a little more. And also, you mentioned the difficulty hearing in your church. Nowadays, they are going and adding a loop to sections of the church in which if you sit in that section, there's a little button on your hearing aid and you can turn it to that program and you're able to hear what the pastor is saying streamed right to your hearing aids. So that could be something that you might want to keep as an option. And just the larger you get, the more that sits in your ear, so you might or might not like that plugged feeling. A couple other options we have are the hearing aids sit behind the ear. These have some similarities and some differences. Sound's going to be picked up by the microphones in these two slits, transmitted into the hearing aid, and for this one it's going to be sent through the wire into a receiver that sits right here, and that's going to reach your eardrum. For this option, the sound will be picked up the same and everything done inside the hearing aids, and then it'll be transmitted through a tube and this ear mold that also sits inside. This one's going to be a little more inconspicuous. You're not going to have that custom piece on the end, but rather a rubber tip, so you're not going to have as much in your ear. Well, this one's a little bigger. You are going to get that custom mold, so it depends what you'd like. Alright, something else I'd like to point out between this one and this style of hearing aids, because these are a little bigger, they have a little more power to them. So if your hearing were to shift and worsen in a few years, we'd be able to adjust these hearing aids. Well, with these, without as much power, they might reach the limits of the hearing aids. Okay, Kelly, so now that I've just kind of given you an overview of the different styles and the different technologies and some of the capabilities, can you tell me what you liked, what you didn't like?
Well, I guess I don't like how these look because these remind me of something old, and because I'm younger, I would prefer to have something that's not very visible, and I don't like the idea of having something plugging up my ear completely. I think having some flexibility if my hearing should change would be an advantage, so I think I'm ruling these out.
Ruling those out, okay. So between these, you mentioned not really wanting them visible, so I guess I'd recommend this style with the receiver in the canal, because you're not going to have an ear mold that leaves you feeling plugged up. It's a little thinner of a wire, but still with your lifestyle, it gives you options. If you see this button right here, that can be made into a program button. So say you're home and you're reading and you're not really using or talking to anyone, you could have it in one program. Then you go out to eat with your husband and your friends and there's a lot of background noise. You push that button and it changes some of the features in the hearing aid to kind of focus in on people right around you and ignore what's behind you. Do you think that sounds like something you'd like?
Yes, I would.
Okay, well, based on that in our talk, I'm gonna recommend this for you. We're gonna order them today. I'm gonna have you come back in about a week. We'll do some fitting. We'll talk a little more in depth about some of the other cleaning and just care of the hearing aids, and we'll go from there. Do you have any questions for me?
How much are they gonna cost me? And will my insurance cover that?
Your insurance cover that. We'll have someone call and verify what your insurance takes care of. And as of now, the premium, it ranges for about $2,700 per ear.
Okay,
Sound good?
sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Sam.